Thought we were. Hold on. Now I'm gonna cook through these models because I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and am very much looking forward to making sure that everybody gets everything that they need out of today as well. So if you could, please join me back here and make sure that your pen and paper are ready to rock as we're going to hit the budget model and the organizational model the Mike way. Because you know, when you read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, there's a lot of really heavy content. There's 72 different charts of accounts and things of that nature. And guys, that is really good for people operating, you know, after multiple years in the business or doing $1 million in gross commission income. What I want you to do is to get into behavioral patterns that force you to do better things with your money. Now, remember, leads, listing, and leverage. So we're generating leads for listings, and part of that leverage is money. Money is something that you can use to buy back your own time, or to buy more leads, or to buy more business. So how you spend your money is an important piece of leverage. Here is the budget in a nutshell. If you don't tell your money where to go, you will wonder where it went. If you don't tell your money where to go, you'll wonder where it went. This is talk about a deeply worn groove in my brain. I heard from my dad on an almost daily basis about my money. And you're looking at a guy who has tracked every single penny that he has spent for the better part of the last decade. And I can tell you for every vehicle that I've owned, the cost of operating it per mile. So that if I was going to drive to Chicago or drive down and have a drink with Polly and Bruce this evening, I could say, well, driving down there at 47 cents a mile for 100 miles is $47. It's a $94 round trip to operate the car. Now, I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm going to show you some of the models and systems that I use in my life to help me remain hyper aware about where my money is going. So now when we think about the budget model, I want you to focus on operating expenses. This is what you're budgeting for, right? We accounted for cost of sales as a part of our economic model, but when we think about the operating expenses, these are the things under our most control, right? So that's what we want to focus on. So there are some principles that we're going to focus on. You heard me say this earlier. We want to lead with revenue, right? Which is make money before you spend it. We're going to build a business out of its own money. It costs you nothing to call a FSBO, to call an expired, to door knock and hand out business cards. You get 500 business cards for $5. So maybe it costs you $5, but one of those business cards could generate a $5,000 commission. I'm going to say the 1,000 times multiplier is good. We want to lead with revenue. When you lead with expenses, you spend money before you make it. And there's a chance that you could work a year in real estate, bust your hump, and lose money. Seen it happen. I've seen it happen. And then generate revenue in your real estate business that will in turn fund the future growth. That's one of the keys to the budget model. So when you look at how you're spending money, you have to make sure that you're making it before you spend it. Now, when you're spending it, you should play a little game called red light, green light. Expenses can creep up. There's this thing that we do where we say, if I just get one deal out of this, it'll pay for itself. If I could do one more deal, then you got to go back into your economic model, factor that in, because it's not one more deal. If you have cost of sales or other expenses, nothing is just one more deal because of all the other math that goes into it. Make sure that you are keeping track of what is working and not working, and you are cutting the things that do not work. Does anyone know what the mandatory return on investment to maintain an investment should be? If you're going to invest in a marketing spend or an advertising spend or a piece of technology or software or activity that costs you money, how much money should it return for you to keep doing it? 4 times. It is a 4-to-1 ratio. If you spend $1,000, it needs to return $4,000 for it to be a good investment. If it does not, you should renegotiate, eliminate, minimize, do whatever you have to do to make it a 4 or non-existent. Stick to the budget. Now, this is the Millionaire Real Estate operating expense model. The percentages down the right-hand side are the ones that you would want to be concerned with, not so much the numbers. There's an exercise inside of your packet where you can take your expected GCI and get out what you should, suss out what you should be spending on, or how much the maximum would be to spend. Guys, if you don't rent an office, you don't have to pay occupancy fees, right? But I really want to highlight that you should be investing in yourself to invest in your business, right? And these are the maximums, not the minimums. That's in your packet. You can work through that later. What I want to focus on is this idea of getting into a rhythm, and I'm going to show you a couple ways that I do that, that I promise will not be very boring, as boring as it sounds. So you want to examine your books once a month, keep a monthly budget. Remember, we're thinking monthly sales, we're thinking monthly income, we're thinking monthly appointments. Let's keep a monthly budget. You want to look at it weekly. I use it as the last thing that I do before I close my laptop on Fridays. I enter all my expenses, I track my net worth, and I project what I'm going to be spending next week to make sure that everything checks out. And then finally, look for variances and analyze where you are off. That's the rhythm, right? So if you have a budget, or when you set a budget, there is an exercise that I encourage you to do, which is priming your budget. Prime your budget. So to prime your budget, you're going to do 5 things. You're going to protect. What are the things that are giving you the return on investment that you want and need? A 4 or greater ROI. Spend 1,000, get 4,000. Great. Spend 1,000, get 10,000. Amazing. Spend 1,000, get 1,000. No need to just shuffle money around. Renegotiate. So let's say you're spending 1,000, getting 3,000. Well, a 4-to-1 on that 3,000 is if you can get that, renegotiate that expense down to $750 and it still delivers you 3,000, you're back to a 4. So keep doing the things that are working. Your first line of defense and things that aren't working is to renegotiate them. If you can get them down to a price that makes it a 4 or greater, then you should do that. Invest. If you get something that is a 10-to-1 on a return, if you're spending $1,000 and you're getting 2 deals a month off that, and that's $10,000 of GCI, I would start spending $10,000 a month. I would start spending more. So I would invest in there, right? Budget is not about constriction. It's about asset allocation. What do we want to keep doing? What do we need to renegotiate to make better? Where do we invest? Where do we minimize, right? Maybe we have exposure. We're spending 5,000, getting 10,000, and we can just reduce the amount that we're investing and, maybe get it to, I'm going to spend 2,000 and get 8,000, right? Some sort of minimization of expenses that aren't really yielding what you need them to give them a chance. And then finally, eliminate. If you're spending $1,000, getting $1,000, spending $1,000, getting 500, eliminate it, cut it out. But this, I would say do this quarterly, not monthly. Do this quarterly, is prime your budget. Look at everything you spent. Look at what percentage of your total GCI it was. Look at the return on investment, right? And this is where knowing where your deals come from and knowing where you spend money allows you to make some really interesting decisions. And then run the prime process. Priming your budget is protecting the things that are working, renegotiating the things that are close, investing in the things that are doing the best, minimizing the things that are doing the worst, and eliminating things that aren't producing results. If you do that in your personal and professional life, you will have more money at the end of the year. Because remember, guys, another one that my old man always said, it's not what you make, it's what you don't spend. So if you're not doing this, I promise you, if you go on your credit cards right now, there is a monthly subscription to a gym or a Disney Plus or a Hulu Premium that you have not touched or thought about in 6 months. You haven't watched a single Marvel movie on Disney Plus since The Mandalorian didn't have new episodes. And here you are, you just paid $70 in the last 6 months for the convenience of maybe every once in a while watching a movie. If you save your pennies, you can spend your dollars. That was my grandma. She was born the year of the Great Depression, so I'm going to take that one to heart. Save your pennies, you can spend your dollars. This whole budget section should just be old-timey folksy quotes from Southeast Ohio. All right, guys. Now here's the 5 steps to financial success. This also ties into getting in a rhythm. And it also is acronized. As you know, I will always try to make things an acronym. And what I want you guys to do to get into a financial success is be an ass. Be an ass. Yeah. First things first is awareness. I want you to be aware of where you're spending money. Once you have that awareness, look for insights. Wow, I've paid for Disney Plus for 6 months and I haven't even opened it up. That's me, guys. My TV's so old that it won't let me open it up anymore on my Roku. It says your TV's not new enough to support Disney Plus. I don't know how the hell that works, but that's what it says. So I spent $70, for nothing. Take action. Right? Once you are aware of where your money's going, you pull insights out of it, do something about it, right? Cancel the subscription, prime the budget, protect the things, minimize them, renegotiate them, eliminate them, whatever it is. And then put in a system. Now, this could be the financial rhythm where you're logging your expenses every week, you're tracking your net worth on a consistent basis, whatever it is, you need to be doing it on a consistent basis. You need a system to do it. And that might be that you set different my credit card, every $500 I spend, it notifies me so that I know, like, oh, I'm here right now in this month. Here's where I should be by the end of the year. Why is that? I can inspect it. And then accountability or support, right? Awareness, insight, action, system, support. Get a financial coach, get an accountant, get somebody that's willing to look at your books. Like, I will look at your books, guys. If you have a P&L or a budget and you want to say, Mike, what are the questions I'm not asking myself? Right? That support circles all the way back around and starts to drive more awareness. So, awareness. Pull your checking account, every credit card statement, every receipt, everything. Categorize your expenses. Figure out what is pay to play and what's reoccurring. Try to eliminate what's reoccurring, just because reoccurring expenses will eat you alive. The average American has over $250 in reoccurring expenses hitting their credit cards each month. That's $3,000 a year. Guys, if you're uncapped, that's one house. Think about how hard it is to sell one house. Think about how easy it is to say, yes, sign me up for the monthly candy box. If you're ever in the Pepper Pike office and you walk into the MCA office, you will see that there is a candy box there that I have not yet canceled my subscription to. Key here is knowledge is power, guys. Knowledge is power. In life, there is no prize. Knowledge is power. All right. Then you take insights. What can you learn about yourself and your business from what you've amassed? What is the biggest aha in your newfound awareness? What are your tendencies? If you were going to tell somebody a story, or somebody was going to look at your books and build a story off of how you spend your money, what would it be? Those are your insights. Then your actions are, you have to consistently track your expenses, review and log regularly, limit your reoccurring expenses. If you haven't heard me say that enough, review the ROI of every expense by playing red light and green light. And guys, cut the crap. There's crap on your credit card. There's crap in your checking account. There's crap in your business. Cut it out. Get aggressive with it. Cut it out. System, this is where the budget comes in. Tell your money where to go, monthly and annually. Here's how much I want to spend on X and Y and Z over the course of the year. Here's how much I want to spend on A, B, and C this month. Account for seasonality, right? You'll spend more on closing gifts in the summer than you will in the winter. Account for new opportunities. I always encourage everybody, whatever the number is that you want to have, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, set aside somewhere in your budget so that when somebody comes to you with a can't miss opportunity, or You walk into a listing appointment and you decide that this would be an amazing rental and you just rather buy the damn house than list it, you can do it. Opportunities and ideas are everywhere around us. It's our ability to fund them that we need to account for today to be able to do it in 18 months. Consider windfalls and shortfalls in your system. What happens if this is better than I expect? What happens if it's worse than I expect? And ultimately, that system is going to be you telling your money where to go. And then finally, get some support. Don't be the only eyes on your books. Don't assume that you're doing the right activities. Do not go it alone. Recruit a financial coach, recruit a mentor, a partner, an accountant, whoever it is. You cannot be the only person auditing and editing things as it relates to your business. Really, really important that you engage some other people. All right, guys, hit me with some ahas. I know that that was a lot. We jammed through, and we're going to go through the next one, even healthier clip to make sure we get you everything that you need. But, you know, listen, the foundation of this thing is in who you are and what you want to do. Then we build on that with understanding how you're going to get the money that you need to do the things you want to do. How do you get the leads to get the money? Now we're in the back nine here, so it's not as a heavy lift for you.
Hey, Michael, one of my biggest ahas is, I would say about a month ago, I actually went through my bank account and started looking at all of the things that I was paying for and either wasn't using or it wasn't paying off for me. And I started canceling all that stuff. I went out on my own about 6 months ago, and I started signing up for all of these things that I was using on the team and thought it was going to be really important. And then I just realized that I was spending a lot more than I needed to be. So I really kind of trimmed everything down so that so I could afford to keep working. And and that's just been so important to me. I've started actually kind of looking at, asking the question, is this really worth it? Do I really need to have it? And if the answer is no, not really, then I get rid of it.
Mm-hmm. And it's a hard thing to do, Isaac, and it takes a lot of maturity to do it because, we want to do the things that we've always done because we want them to be right. And to say, I've been putting money here and it's wrong, you have to protect your ego a little bit. And you have to say for me to live the life that I want, I have to become a different person and behave differently. And that means in the real estate business and in our financial life. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing a real life example. All right, here's some ahas from the chat. Knowledge is power. So important to put checks in place. Oh my God. I mean, when I got my first job, out of college, I was making, more money than a boy my age really needed. Let's just put it like that. And you want to talk about a boy, I was spending money like a kid in a candy store. And I woke up a couple years later and I had nothing to show for it. And I was like, well, that was fun. But as I tapped into my big why more and more and more, I understood that for me to do the things that I ultimately wanted to do and have the life that I ultimately wanted to have, I wasn't going to be able to, I was going to have to learn how to cook was what it basically came down to. Eating out for 10 meals a week was not the best use of my income at the time. Maybe, feeding my 401k would have been better. All right, going back to and looking at the ROI for some investments, you're a creature of habit, pattern, right? If you get into the pattern, every Friday at 4:30 p.m., I open up spreadsheets. I log every expense for the last 7 days. I go and I open up every account and investment in 401k that I have, and I track my net worth. I know that in the last 7 days, I've increased my net worth by 2.5%, right? And that is every Friday, and that marks the end of my week. It's not always at 4:30, but it can't be earlier than 4:30 because the markets don't close. And then you lead with revenue. Lead with revenue. Love that, Rudy.